If you were to ask someone what's the most beautiful planet in our solar system, chances are they'll say Saturn. And it's not hard to see why. The ringed beauty has been in our skies known to man since the 1600s. It's 886 million miles, or 1.4 billion kilometers from the sun, so it's quite a distance away. And there's very few planets in our universe that are more beautiful than it, but that's for another story. That was until October 15th, 1997, when the Cassini-Huygens space mission was launched. Cassini orbiter named after Italian astronomer Giovanni Domenico Cassini, who discovered Saturn's rings and four of its satellites, and the probe Huygens named after Dutch astronomer and mathematician Christian Huygens, who discovered Saturn's moon Titan. Size of a school bus, worth $3 billion, and weighing 5,710 kilograms. That is quite a load. Luckily, most of it is fuel, so it's not that bad. It had a few goals that it needed to accomplish when she was launched. Mainly, to discover the satellites that Saturn has and explore their surfaces, and see the possibility of life. Because, we can't be alone out there. Or are we? Either option is either astounding or terrifying when you think about it. Now, to get to Saturn, which as I already said before is really far away, that's going to require quite some speed. And honestly, the spaceship may have had a lot of fuel, but it would not have enough to make it all the way out there. So, it had to do what I like to call the gravity slingshot, orbiting around a planet or other celestial body enough times to build up speed before it can slingshot off the next body to gain speed. In this case, it decided to slingshot around Venus twice, in 1998 and 1999, at 69,000 kilometers per hour, and then later on rushed back past us here at Earth in 2000 before it went off to Jupiter to get one final boost to head off to its destination. Now, looking at Saturn, you'd think that the rings are, probably made of gas. Quite smooth. Really simple things that can't really cause much damage. But when you actually look at it, it's made of tons of space debris, of various sizes, from a fingernail to the size of, say, the Empire State Building. You would not want to be out there in that, I can say. And with how fast Cassini was going, colliding with even the smallest bit of space debris would definitely cause it to explode. And, looking at the rings, you'd think, oh, they're all the same. Or the ones at least close to each other are the same. But nope, all the rings are quite different in their makeup. And much like the rings of a tree, the thicker the ring, the older it is. And if you thought Cassini was heavy, oh boy, wait till you hear how much the rings weigh. 15,400,000,000,000 tons. Now that must be quite a lot of cake you have to eat. In 2004, Cassini discovered a moon just, vibing in the outer rings, and a lot of the elements found in that area show that the moons are really new and forming. So basically, Cassini found a system developing in a system, which, scientists can use to figure out how the hell we got here. Because, nobody still really knows, do we? And tragic news for all those who really, really enjoy Saturn's rings, or anyone whose star sign is in that planet. I don't really know astrology. Astronomy's more my thing. The rings are gonna disappear, fairly fast in terms of universe. In terms of human lifespan, it's gonna be a while. Rings C and D are gonna be gone in roughly 700,000 years. We don't live that long, so if we manage to be around that long, our descendants will see, oh, couple less rings. That is, if we don't destroy ourselves first, or leave the planet early. Now, you're probably wondering, How on earth are they disappearing? Well, I bet my halo you would never be able to guess. But, since you don't have to, I might as well tell you. Water droplets and dust, which is what a lot of the rings are made of, is raining down onto the planet. Now, saying rain is quite an understatement. It's more of like a torrential downpour that could destroy everything in sight, if it was on Earth. But since Saturn's so huge, not much of a difference. And that rainfall is going pretty fast. Saturn eats like 45 tons of ring a second. So yeah, you thought you ate a lot at Christmas dinner? Wait till you see Saturn on a daily basis. Cassini also found 82 satellites. In simpler terms, there's like roughly 82 moons out there. And Borderland fans will get a kick out of this one. One of the moons discovered was Hyperion, which is 360 kilometers wide, made mostly of rock and ice. Think of it like a giant potato, and it's very low in density. 60% of it is rock and ice and metal, and the other 40% is just holes and craters. You can tell acne really got somebody that bad. The other moon discovered was Tethys. Now, most of us probably have a sibling or a parents, so we've seen what toddlers can do when you give them a crayon. So imagine a bright red crayon over a moon, and that's what Tethys looks like. On top of that, there are cracks all over it, like it's being split from the inside. Nobody really knows what's in there. Could be lava, could be some chemical compound. Let's just hope it's not an unfriendly visitor that could come back to us later. And of course, the most well-known of Saturn's moons, Titan. Very famous for having its own sustainable atmosphere. The Huygens probe, which was, created to go there, was deployed Christmas Day 2004. So, I guess Merry Christmas, Titan. It entered the atmosphere, and that took a while, like over an hour, and landed safely on the hard surface, which, funny enough, was very similar to Earth. And with how thick that atmosphere is and all the dangerous space chemicals, you don't think that a little probe made on Earth would last very long. But it was able to send footage for 72 minutes before it ultimately croaked. And now back to the atmosphere. Titan's atmosphere is mostly nitrogen, which is pretty handy since ours, in case you didn't know, is also mostly nitrogen. So, potential new home. It also experiences seasons, but I wouldn't bother planning my wardrobe around that because these seasons last 7 years. I don't think I could deal with wearing a summer dress or winter boots for 7 years straight. And it is cold. Like, really, really cold. It could host life in the nitrogen lakes, and it is the best source of gasoline in the solar system. If we weren't trying so hard to move away from gasoline, we could just mine Titan, and we would be set for millennia. Now, another interesting moon in Saturn is Enceladus. It's basically a giant ice ball, and due to being mostly ice, it reflects a lot of light. So much it reflects the most light out of anything in the solar system. And it's covered in geysers that shoot out water and ice, which are very helpful to replenish the ring it's vibing in. Its south pole, unlike the one here on Earth, is a lot warmer than it probably should be, so it has liquid water. Now, if it doesn't have an atmosphere unlike its brother Titan, how is it so warm? We're still not sure about that either. Could be radioactive elements, could be friction thanks to Saturn's gravity. Nobody really knows, and it would take a long time to find out with our technology. But thanks to having liquid water and heat and organic molecules, that little moon could also potentially have life, even more close to us than, say, Titan. But lack of atmosphere and other things, not necessarily the best for humans. Now, everything has to come to an end eventually, and Cassini was no different. It was in space for almost 20 years, 13 of which were spent orbiting Saturn and its moons, and it ended in what is called the grand finale, which ended September 15th, 2017. In that final day, it flew between Saturn and its rings 22 times, then plunged itself into the atmosphere, where it slowly burned up and was destroyed. Now, you're probably wondering, something that cost $3 billion, why would you do it like that? Simple. As I've mentioned before, there are a couple moons that could potentially host life, and we don't want to contaminate that. So the safest thing would just send Cassini into a satellite orbit around Saturn, which basically has no chance of hosting life, not even having a solid surface, and just have it boop, disappear in there. Lost signal 11:55, 46 seconds UTC time, which is actually 30 seconds later than predicted. And it's estimated after that last transmission, it burned up 45 seconds after. And just like that, Cassini came to an end. It had a pretty good run. It was supposed to just end in 2008, but it got 3 extensions. During Saturn's equinox, it got an extension of 2 years and 62 days. During a solstice, it got 6 years and 205 days. And the extension that led up to the finale, 4 months and 24 days. Even though Cassini is gone, we're still using the evidence gathered from it to figure out how our solar system really works. In 2019, new research was published from the final phase that got a good amount of information. For example, a day on Saturn is 10 hours, 33 minutes, and 38 seconds, which is pretty short considering that a year is a good couple thousand Earth years. And those rings I mentioned before, well, they're fairly young in age, between 10 million and 100 million years old. I mean, of course that sounds pretty young compared to humans, but in the grand scheme of the universe, which is billions of years old, that is basically a newborn. But who knows? Maybe one day we'll be able to go back out there and see what exactly we can find and discover thanks to Cassini's groundbreaking work. Who knows? A couple centuries, maybe we'll be living on Titan and snowboarding and skiing on Enceladus. But hey, who knows? I sure don't, and I'm far in the future. But anyway, that's today's episode. Join me next time when we talk about Saturn's supermoon, Titan. Quite a celebrity. Let's find out exactly why and what makes it tick. This is Lady A signing off. Thank you for listening to Andromeda's Archives. And remember, the universe is the greatest archive, and we are the stardust that make it special.